We've been talking about tonight's show for a long time. Us finally getting Joe Alt, Notre Dame superstar, one of the best offensive tackles to play for the Fighting Irish football program, which is saying something, but it's a no-brainer when it comes to Joe Alt. So we are getting the projected top 10 pick in next month's draft on the show. It's going to be later in the show. Very pumped up to have that one scheduled. I'm a huge Joe Alt fan. Tim's a huge Joe Alt fan. So we're definitely fired up about getting Joe on the show later. So yeah, but before that happens, you guys are gonna have to hear from us. So appreciate the folks who are live with us right away, like J Carr, Joe Bro, D Rocks in the chat, Jason Smith. What is up, everyone? Hope you all are doing well. Thank you to everyone watching back or listening via podcast. Got a great show lined up, talking some Notre Dame spring football. And then we're going to get to the interview, of course, with Joe Alt. And this is not one that's pre-recorded. We're bringing him on live. So if there's technical difficulties, sorry, not sorry. That's just kind of how it goes when you record live. So Tim, you excited as well? How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. I mean, me and you talked about this 2-3 weeks ago. We were talking about some guests having fun, and we're like, well, let's swing for the fences. Let's go for Fisher. Let's go for Alt. Let's go for the guys going to the NFL. And we got Joe Alt. So, very exciting. I mean, yeah, he's, definitely up there. He's going to be a top 10 pick by everybody. It's hyped up, man. Look at that. Yeah, exactly. Senior. Hey, Hyde got a haircut last week, Goolsby. Singer copied me. So, yeah, we're clean shaven, looking sharp, ready for all the NFL executives to log in and hear Joe speak, which obviously we're joking because they've all talking to him already. So, but no, very excited to have Joe come on here in a little bit, talk a little Notre Dame football.
I did get this cut last Thursday, scheduled the interview Monday, but I like it. Let's go with what Goolsby's saying. I like his story better. Folks, if you're watching live with us, watching back, please hit the thumbs up on this video. If you're new here, subscribe to our channel for more content. We put out so much, so many YouTube videos throughout the week. If you're listening to this via podcast, we put out all of our shows on podcast format, but there's other YouTube segments that do not appear on podcasts. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you are not a Blue and Gold subscriber, our current offer for you guys is $1 for 2 months when you use the promo code UND1. That's for new subscribers, $1 for 2 months. So if you got $1 in a bank account, just throw it out to Blue and Gold, see what you think for 2 months. Again, that's blueandgold.com. Tim, have you heard of silencing your phone, my friend?
Yeah. Something like you want to update your laptop. No, not right now. So never. Hey, you and I have been doing this since 2021. Never got an alert on this thing. So
yeah, you have not. No.
Yeah, first time for everything. There we go.
Yeah, 3 years we've been doing these shows and videos and whatnot
together. Yeah, 21, 22, 23. Yeah.
Yeah, good times. So lately we've been kind of starting the show with like college football and general news.
Yeah.
And I thought this one was interesting today. Seemingly out of nowhere, Tony Alford has been at Ohio State for how long?
9 years.
Taking the Michigan job. Wow. Yeah, let me pull this up. He had been at Ohio State since 2015. Of course, he was at Notre Dame for 5-6 years before that. So yeah, going to Michigan, Tim. Well, what are your thoughts about this? Yeah, again, one-time Notre Dame assistant coach, and then several years at Ohio State, going to Michigan.
Hey, he's checking the blue blood boxes off, just going right down the Midwest, right? ND, Ohio State, and now down there in Ann Arbor. I'll be honest with you, I had no idea. When you sent me the outline, I was reading it, prepping, stuff for Joe. When he comes on, I was like, what? Tony Alford left Ohio State? Yeah. Hey, in this day and age, nothing shocks you anymore, but, Michigan keeps winning. Does Michigan win again? Ryan Day gets fired. Alford's out of a job. He's like, hell, go, let's go to Michigan. Who knows? But no, my first thought was, man, running back coaches, it's tough. It's tough. That's probably the biggest position I'll say that's hard to get a head coaching job. unless, I mean, I say that to Sean Foster, but he's an icon at UCLA. He had never been an OC or anything, but Alford, man, it's tough to move up, taking a lateral position, but it's a new coaching staff, new program, all those new things. 9 years at Ohio State probably felt like 20.
Yeah.
Hey, and just real quick, Chip Kelly's there, so obviously he's going to have way more say into everything going on there. So I
Yeah,
was shocked. I was really shocked that, and they have already had 2 practices, Mike. I read that they've had 2 practices already, so that's pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean that's some shocking little college football news there.
that was my initial reaction, was like maybe he just didn't really want to work with Chip Kelly.
Yeah,
Maybe there's a little friction there. You mentioned something about like the running backs coach moving up thing. I'm totally with you there. Like, I think a lot of O-line coaches, Tim, they just like being O-line coaches.
yeah, I agree.
Uh, but like running backs, those guys they want to move up. I remember talking to a running backs coach a few years ago, and him telling me how difficult it is for a running backs coach to move up to become an offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
Oftentimes, those guys will go from a P5 running. Do I have to say P4? Like, well, I am
we know
Pac-12's
it
gone.
exactly.
Okay, I've been writing a power conference lately. I think the term core fours, they're trying to get that going, and power conference. They skip becoming an OC. They just go from running backs coach straight to a head coach at like a G5 job.
Yeah,
The former Lance Taylor did that. He
yeah,
went from Notre Dame running backs coach.
but he was the OC for a year.
What about the running backs coach before him? Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
Denton.
Autry
Was it
Denton.
Charleston Southern?
Yeah, 1AA level FCS.
Um, yeah. So that's that's not FBS, but still like, so that's kind of an interesting nerd note for college football
Yeah,
fans.
and just for Notre Dame related, you always hear about Dylan McCullough, and it's like, how's he going to be a head coach? Because he's never been an OC, and he's in his 50s. So it's tough, man. It's tough. I always see people say, "Oh, McCullough's going to be a head coach." Don't. It's tough.
He's going to be a head coach. I think he's going to be
at the MAC level,
at a MAC level, Sun Belt, something like that. Yeah,
Miami, Ohio, I believe he's going to go to a MAC level and stuff of that nature. But just like Lance Taylor did, so yeah, it totally makes sense. That was been a little shocking news to start college football today.
Yep. Well, I got a few questions for Notre Dame fans. Are you a displaced corporate executive? Are you wanting to put your career and life in your own hands? Are you an experienced entrepreneur wanting to diversify? Excuse me, words are hard. Andy Ludicky can help you out. He's a huge college sports fan and franchise veteran, having owned multiple franchises and businesses. Using Andy's expertise, he's going to help you find your American dream through a very thorough consultation and evaluation process. So give Andy a call. His number is 404-973-9901, and put your life and career in your own hands. And best of all, his services are 100% free to use. So what do you have to lose? Find your perfect franchise at myperfectfranchise.net. Give Andy a call, 404-973-9901. Website to visit for more information, myperfectfranchise.net. If you're just joining us, we're getting Joe Alt. I feel weird calling him an ex-Notre Dame offensive lineman, but how about an outgoing? He's outgoing personality-wise, and he is outgoing from the program. So there you go, the outgoing Notre Dame offensive tackle. We're going to talk to him live in about a half hour or so, but we have several spring football news and notes to discuss, Tim, and I think we have like 6 or 7 items. So last week, I remember during our show, Rich Starkey called in and said, hey, who's that GA? Who's going to be the guy helping out Mike Mickens with Chris O'Leary going? Mike Mickens is now coaching the corners and the safeties. That's his title. But that's a lot of work. So we get news that special teams coordinator Marty Biaggi is assisting the defensive backs. What was your reaction to this, Tim? Do you like this move?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, makes sense, right? He's with all the guys on defense making tackles on his special teams already. So and he's coached some on D in his past and whatnot. So It's not like he's doing special teams for 2 hours and 10 minutes every single day, kicking and fielding punts and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, you got an experienced ball coach there, guy who's been around for a while out there helping out. You still keep that Al Golden roaming around type of thing, like they've done with, Laurinaitis and Bola the last few, 2 years coaching the backers. So, yeah, I mean, they use an experienced ball coach, and obviously they're going to have a GA out there. They always have a couple defensive GAs helping, whatever roles they have. But no, I really like this once this became official. Like, he's definitely going to be helping.
Yeah, looking at his coaching history, um, yeah, it's mainly been special teams. I mean, Ole Miss in 22, Purdue a couple years, North Texas for a few years, Notre Dame as a special team analyst in 2016, but South Dakota in 2015 cornerbacks. So again, you get a guy who's been coaching
Coaching.
for a decade, and he's helping out. Versus, you got to think like the linebackers coach, like Laurinaitis. And then Max Bulla, those guys were GAs coaching a whole position group as like basically new coaches in a sense. While Marty may not have this robust coaching career as a cornerbacks coach, he's got a ton of experience. And yeah, I mean, he's done it a little bit. I mean, he's basically the special teams coordinator and then a GA for the defensive back. So this is good for Notre Dame. Yeah. So if you had any concern about Mike Mickens and he's biting off more they get you here, he's going to be working with an experienced ball coach for sure, like you said, Tim. So
yeah, I like that. That's a good way to put it. Coordinator, and he's the GA of the safety, so to speak. I like that. It's very experienced one at it. So I like it.
Yeah. Another move, Devin Ford running back to safety. Is this something we talked about last week? Like a lot of running backs. What's Devin Ford going to do? It's kind of the elephant in the room because he comes to Notre Dame with 2 years of eligibility as a grad transfer. You don't see a ton, but Devin Ford, that applied to him. So, yeah, I mean, he's going to be working with Marty Biaggi pretty closely, Tim. That's the expectation. I don't know if we'll see him much at safety, maybe in some mop-up time, but as a special teamer, we'll see him a ton.
Yeah, he's going to be a full-time tackler. That's what he's going to do, defense. Run around, keep tackling. He was a heck of Marcus Freeman talked about him all last year on special teams. So he did a heck of a job. So this makes sense. I mean, this is his last year playing ball. He's not going to get a lot of carries, even though when he did play running back, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. He had some nice blocks. Nice catch for a touchdown, had a couple nice runs. He's a solid football player. Heck, he's an ex-top 100 athlete when he signed with Penn State, so he's no stick in the mud here. Really good football player. So, hey, it's his last year. I think he's just going there just to keep his feet wet, run around, have fun, and, I bet you he's going to be a special teams captain when they because Notre Dame names 6-7 captains every year. So, fully, I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of them.
Yeah. I think this is a good move. Tim, you mentioned he was a good running back for that team last year. He just happened to be in a position where Notre Dame's loaded in that room, with Estebe and Jay Love and Price and company. But Notre Dame brought him in to I don't know if you call it an insurance policy or what, but yeah, he did look good, and it's just there's only so many snaps, and Devin Ford as the transfer was kind of the odd man out there. But I love that he stayed around, and I talked about it in a video with Horka earlier this week. Like Devin, if you're watching this, you still can do really well here, and you have this track record of running back, safety, special teamer. I think you'd be a good Swiss Army knife, for an NFL team. My brother, played at Presbyterian College in the early 2010s, and he had a teammate there. His name was Justin Bethel, who's spent a decade or so in the NFL, and I don't know Bethel's career really off the top of my head exactly, but from what I recall, he was a special teamer early in his NFL career, and then later on started to play more regularly. But he was picked up just to really just play special teams. So Devin Ford, that can be you in the next level. So definitely hope that he keeps his head up. Tim, first team offensive line. Now look, this is spring ball practice number 1, so we don't want to get ourselves carried away. But from what Jack Sobel wrote and observed, the first team offensive line was the same of the Sun Bowl from left to right. Charles Jagasaw, Billy Schrauth, Ashton Craig. Well, no, Pat Coogan, excuse me.
Yep.
Craig, Schrauth, Tosh Baker. Not surprising to you, Mr. Hyde?
Well, I'm going to back up 5 seconds, Mike. Your boy, Justin Bethel, is currently with Miami Dolphins. I remember him with the Patriots, and he was a Patriot. So he's currently on the Dolphins. How about
You're
that?
right.
How about that? Yeah. I'm like, God, I know Bethel. I remember him with the Pats, sure enough. So
You're right.
yeah, how about that?
Yeah,
So,
6th round pick in 2012.
Huh.
Yeah. That slipped my mind. But yes,
that name sounded so familiar. So that's cool that you said your brother played with him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's cool. Now going back to the old line, I mean, we said it a while ago. That's the expectation. I think you're going to go with those guys. You got some older guys. I know. The big wild card is always it's going to be a battle at right tackle. It's going to be Emil Wagner versus Tosh Baker. Tosh Baker's 5th year, Emil's 3rd year in the program. Billy Schrauth, I fully expect him to be a dude, which, by the way, I saw some videos, and there's one where he's just running on the field. They're just out there in just T-shirt and shorts. But, my God, that guy likes to work out. He was huge. So he looked awesome. I was just excited to see him going out there. But, yep, right tackle, fully expect Charles to be a dude. And then is it going to be the Rocco versus Coogan battle, so to speak? For the left guard out there as they work that. And then you always hear every line coach say, right, find your best 5. So who is that wild card? Is there a wild card out there that that forces someone to go to guard or something?
All right.
So that's going to be interesting.
Okay. The wild card for me would be Pendleton. Now, I don't know if he's going to start against Texas A&M, but I hear really good things about Sam Pendleton, who's a rising sophomore.
Yeah.
Could he beat out, it's Spindler, Schrauth, and Coogan for 2 of the guard spots? I don't know if he's going to jump any of those guys, but, Tim, if you would have told us before the start of the season that Craig is going to beat out, or Krell got hurt, but
he kind of forced him out too with the way
he did. Craig,
he did.
Krell went from he needs a little help. You need help at the center position a little bit. Like he's not a truck at the center position. He's more of a trailer. While Craig is like a truck. Craig is a dude. So who knows, man? Maybe Pendleton ends up getting a role and just does not let it go. So when you said X factor on the offensive line, maybe some kind of surprise.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. Hope it doesn't happen due to injury, but Pendleton could be a guy that breaks through. My sources have been telling me good things about him.
And if he does, that's going to mean he's going to replace Coogan and Rocco, because I think you would keep Billy in there because you start thinking about down the road. But to me, real quick, Emil Wagner, man, it's like it is.
That's another
now
one.
Or never. I know Mike Goolsby talks about this all the time. It's year 3. It's now or never. Get in there. And with Emil, it's right there. It's right there for you, buddy, because you could take it. You could be a 2-3 year starter, NFL, all that good stuff. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a fun 14 practices whenever they get going, right? The next 2-3 weeks after all the vacations are on.
I'm going to push back on the now or never thing. This is year 5 for Tosh Baker?
Yeah, but now we're never. Yeah, no, I agree, Mike. I agree. I mean,
so usually year 3, it's either you're starting or you're going. But I don't know.
But Tosh had the COVID red shirt, 21 starts, bangs up. And then you got Alton Fisher, 2 NFL guys. So he's just like, hell, I'm going to stick around and wait here. But Wagner, it's right there, man. It's right there. He's got the athletic ability, traits, all those good things you talk about. Every time you watch his high school film, he's a freak. He's so damn athletic. Yeah. Just get your butt to 299 and just play the end.
Yeah. It's crazy though, Tim. You'll lose Joe Alt and Blake Fisher. Joe Alt, by the way, Joining the show in about 20 minutes. Super pumped up about that. That those two guys are leaving, and we're talking about this offensive line being like, yeah, it's still pretty. Like we think it's gonna be pretty darn good.
I've
It's
been,
wild.
but I've been in the camp of just trying to tell fans, just take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath. Take a
Notre
deep
Dame
breath.
lost. Notre Dame lost Robert Hainsey, Liam Eichenberg. 2021 was a huge learning curve for guys. I'm telling you, man, it's not going to be Fisher and Alt or stud. I mean, they're NFL football players.
Oh,
It
for
is like
sure.
Joe Alt. No one got around Joe Alt. It's
No
like
one.
you're not going to have that
You're not.
99.8%
Yeah.
of the
So
time.
don't have expectations that you're gonna have Joe Alt and Blake Fisher level talent at tackles, but
Exactly.
still, like it's still
We're
for
good.
losing those two guys. It's a really good O line, still, in my opinion.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. There's damn good football players, but it's like, man, those guys are better than they're good, man. When you lose bookends like that, they're good.
Yeah. 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 You bring up a good point in 21, which on like we say that on one hand about the O line, Tim, and then on the other hand, it's like we have the easiest schedule in the world. We're going undefeated. And then I'm like, slow the hell down, people. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh, man.
that's part of the reason why I'm like, all right, let's slow down a little bit. We're replacing, two tackles, got a new quarterback, a new running back, new receivers. How healthy are you at tight end? Can you get after the quarterback? You got new linebackers.
Heck, the projected safety still taking classes at Northwestern. The projected nickel already has an injury and was out with a quad injury on practice one. And he was banged up all the time at Arizona State. He's already missed practice number one. So I feel you, man. It's like,
Yeah,
deep breath, man. Let's just see how this thing plays out.
100%. So like, I'm also get hyped, but be cautiously hyped. Total oxymoron. All right, we're gonna move on.
Just beat A&M, Mike. Just beat A&M.
Beat A&M. How about Luke Dalek getting put on scholarship from Wyoming, had offers from Oregon State and Washington State. Notre Dame somehow said, hey, and Wyoming, the local school, hey, don't take those scholarship offers. Walk on here. If you work your butt off and do well, we'll put you on scholarship. And here we are, less than a year later on scholarship, Tim.
By the way, this dude I texted Mike. Me and Goolsby were like going on a 5-hour text rant as we were watching film last week. So much stuff out there. We're just watching, and there's one all of a sudden we're talking about somebody, and I see this dude in the background. I'm like, who the hell is that? Huge. The dude's huge. Yeah. And I pull up the spring roster real quick. I'm like, Goolsby, go to. I think I screenshotted him. I'm like, look at this guy. It's talent. And we were just talking about Luke real quick, but man, his high school film. I went back the next morning, went and rewatched it. That dude will hit you. He's got a little Harrison Smith in him. Just the way his nastiness is, will go and plug and just rack you, man. He's tough as could be. So really excited to see how he develops, because safety, Xavier Watts is gone after this season, and really the rest of the position is so up for grabs.
Yeah.
Which with the Northwestern guy not even here on campus, Schuler was out there with the first unit. Obviously, you got Ben Minnick, but then it's Talent. He's going to be right in that. I mean, you're like too deep instantly right away. So if it all plays out for him, he's a good-looking football player.
Yeah. Lastly, kind of the spring football news and notes. You have several players to miss all of spring ball. Some guys are talking about it in YouTube chat. Armel Mukum and Logan Thomas, shoulder injuries. I don't have them all. What the specific injuries are. You probably remember, Tim. Kevin Bauman was ACL. Evans ACL. Gobire, was that also ACL or
last year? I remember. Yeah, he hurt his in camp.
So you have Bauman's out for the spring. And he's another one from the 2020 class. How many players from that 2020 class are still on the team, Tim? You got him, Baker. Can't be many. I'll let Tim think about that. Gobira, ACL defensive lineman, Armel Mukum, and Logan Thomas, a couple other pass rushers. They are out for the spring. So, yeah, Tim, the biggest impact player on this list is Mitchell Evans, just hoping that he is able to, get back and healthy by A&M. And people have been asking about Rocco Spindler. He was, I believe, a partial participant in practice number 1. I'm just looking real quick on the
Oh
2020
no,
class.
yeah,
Bo
Rocco,
Collins was in the 2020 class, of course, Clemson though.
Bosco,
But
yeah,
otherwise, it looks like Baker Batelho, Riley
Jordan,
Mills,
Riley
Howard
Mills.
Cross is from 2019 class. So is Jack Kaiser, and then you got Xavier Watts. So those are the guys who signed with Notre Dame out of high school. So you got a couple in 2019 who are 6-year guys now, and then a few in the 2020 class still.
Yeah, I mean, Bauman's just been. I mean, he was a heck of a football player too, coming out of high school there in Jersey. So stinks for him. I was really just bummed. I mean, obviously we heard the news about the D lineman, and it's like, man, I mean, you miss all the spring ball D linemen. I mean, Thomas, heck, he weighed in 196 pounds. What's the odds of him playing this year? Not high. But Mookum, second year, it's like, it's a labrum shoulder, a shoulder surgery. They'll be back in camps, stuff like that. But it's just those reps, D line reps. And Mookum's a project developmental type guy. Anyway, he's an outstanding athlete on film. So, that was a kicker. It's just like, man, 3D linemen out. What does that mean for them for fall camp? Can they be reliable if need be this year? So that was just a little kicker right there. But yeah, Evans, get him back healthy. That's obviously the biggie. Come back, have a heck of a season, and kick off to the NFL. Keep doing what Notre Dame does. NFL tight ends, NFL left tackles. My God, one after another.
All right, Tim, got a big boy super chat here from Wicked Bronco Productions. He says, I don't know if you guys saw 24 ESPN quarterback rankings, and they have Leonard at 21 behind guys like Cam Ward, Will Howard, etc. The disrespect to Leonard is insane, in my opinion. He's a top 10 quarterback when he's healthy in college football. Definitely better than Will Howard. What do you think on this super chat?
Mike, this is why we need to get Tyler on the show and just hang out.
Listen, he was busy. I tried. We'll get him on next week.
Is he watching hockey already? Is hockey the guy? I know
he's traveling, I think, or something.
Okay, good. I'm kidding, Tyler. I'm kidding, Tyler, but I know he loves hockey. But no, I mean, Tyler, I'm telling you, everyone with blue and gold, read his articles. Outstanding articles. The guy sat back and watched every single one of Riley Leonard's games and 21, 22 starts, whatever it is. To me, I read this question, and this is a little Notre Dame fandom to me. It might be a little overhype. That's just my humble opinion. Is Leonard a top 10 quarterback? I would have to see the list to see who the heck the top 10 are, who they ranked in there. Number 21, that seems low. I would love to see the list. So I'm going to look up this list to better answer this question. I'll jump on the message board and chat with Wicked here. I know he's always on, but Will Howard's pretty good. I'm not going to lie. It's funny because Goolsby and I, we talk about Riley Leonard a lot, and Will Howard does a lot of good things. Will Howard, maybe a better football player. We'll see. Riley Leonard, I'm just still learning, Mike. How's that? I'm still learning, still interested in seeing what he will do at Notre Dame.
All right. I found the article, I think. Wicked Bronco Productions, really appreciate the $20 super chat. And I don't know where he got, if this is the same article, I don't know where he got 21 from. Okay. Carson Beck 1, Dylan Gabriel, Quinn Ewers, Jalen Milroe, Noah Fafita, Jackson Dart. I'll read off the schools also for podcast audience. So Carson Beck from Georgia, Dylan Gabriel, Oregon, Quinn Ewers, Texas, Jalen Milroe, of course, Alabama, Noah Fafita, Arizona, Jackson Dart, Ole Miss. And this article is from March 1st, so I'm guessing this is what he's talking about. Jalen Daniels from Kansas, Shadur Sanders, Colorado, Cam Rising, Utah, Cam Ward, Miami. And then also receiving votes is Brady Cook and then Riley Leonard. So Riley Leonard would really be 12. Maybe 21st was a typo.
But like I said, I'll Google it and I'll see. But yeah, I mean, he's saying Cam Ward number 9. Cam Ward's a damn good quarterback.
It says 10.
Yeah, Cam Ward is a very good passing quarterback, no doubt about that. So he's a good football player. If he was at Notre Dame, we'd be doing cartwheels. So the dude could sling it. He's the guy's a heck of a quarterback. Now Riley Leonard is a runner, and this is why I'm just dying to get Tyler on. We'll get him on either middle of spring, end of spring, whatever, just to chat about Riley and his development, what he saw, what we think going in. it's the transfer quarterback. He's only going to be here 1 year. So how much can he learn in one winter, spring, summer, heading into the fall when everything goes 1,000 miles an hour in College Station, that game. So it's going to be, he says, never mind 247, but
you're killing me, Wicked Bronco.
yeah, we're like all over the
You
place.
stole me ESPN.
Check it out. But no, I mean, there's some good quarterbacks. Is he a top 10? Those top 10s you just route off pretty good.
Yeah. You know me, Tim. You know where I want to go with this. You have one website saying 21, one website saying 12. It's as if people have differing opinions. It's just same crap as recruiting rankings, and people get so worked up at guys like just that's the great thing. You know what we ought to start doing, Tim? Is we got to start looking back at old rankings.
They're the best.
Why don't we do that more instead of complain? And Wicked Bronco Production, I'm not saying you're complaining about this. I'm just saying in general, because I can't ever get off recruiting rankings, is instead of like complain about who's ranked right now, even though we don't know for years unless if that's going to be a good ranking or not, why don't we look back more and be like, damn, Joe Alt's recruiting. We don't ever talk about Joe Alt's recruiting rankings. And I think that Tim might be a good time to transition and talk about Joe Alt a little bit. So you want to pull up Joe Alt's recruiting rankings? You want to look at these? Tim, you want to?
Oh, I thought you were talking like obviously an obvious question there. Yeah, sure. Pull them up.
Right. Which website do you guys think ranked Joe Alt the highest?
Oh gosh, here we go.
All right. Side note, all of them ranked Joe very low, but it was on 3 ranked him. The number 139 overall player, number 16 tackle, and then you got 24/7 ranked him similarly. ESPN and Rivals both as 3-star players. So, but before we talk a little bit more, Joe Alt, Crash Davis, $5 super chat says, "Love that you posted the Camarillo versus Notre Dame video. Been a long time since I watched that."
Yeah, Crash played. This was the CIF. It's funny. Someone on the message board were talking about the best players we've ever seen live. And
is this Greg Camarillo?
No, Camarillo High School out in Ventura County.
Oh,
Los Angeles, Southern California. And one of the best players I ever saw live was Justin Fargas for Notre Dame High School. Went SC or Michigan and to SC and played in the NFL for years. So, and you got it, Crash. Yeah, I posted that and we were chatting back and forth. That was fun. He played in the championship game. He had a couple big tackles in that game, so that was pretty cool.
I don't know what this was about. I thought you were talking about Greg Camarillo was a Dolphins receiver who Dolphins was at 07 or 08 were 0-14 or something, and then he caught a slant, took it to the house. We beat the Ravens in overtime.
The Dolphins hype. So no. We're talking a little Southern California high school football there at Notre Dame High School.
Yeah, Crash Davis. Appreciate the 5. So yeah, Tim. Joe Alt. Man, where do you stack him and your Notre Dame offensive tackle lore? Where does he kind of fit in?
Yeah, well, we talked about this a while ago when he declared to go to the NFL. Just like I'm one of those guys. I'm like from Holtz to now, that type of era. Because you got your Divine, the Era Parsegian, all those guys and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely top 4. You always talk Mount Rushmore, right? Who are your top 4 from the Holtz to now? He's without a doubt up there. He's unanimous All-American last year as a junior, freshman All-American. Just a heck of a rise. And it's like the old Lou Gehrig, right? Guys get, Wally Pipp gets injured, Lou Gehrig jumps on, and he doesn't leave the field for 2,100 games for the New York Yankees. And Joe Alt, the same thing. Injuries in front of him, and all of a sudden, man, I always go back, Mike. I remember the Purdue game. This was our first year working together in 2021. We were talking about Alt and whatnot, and all of a sudden, I remember texting you like, dude, 45's out there. 45 was Joe Alt. He was going back and forth between the tight end and his offensive tackle number, and Joe Alt gets that great seal blocks. That's the Kyron Williams 50-yard touchdown run that helped seal the victory against Purdue in 2021. I remember that. And then all of a sudden we're sitting here texting because we do post-game shows, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, damn, he's starting against Cincinnati in the second half. And he's out there going against, he's a true freshman, just finished playing tight end a couple months ago in high school, and he's playing against an NFL D end, Beavers, with that stud at Cincinnati. And then he starts, I think his first start was out there against Enter Sandman in Vatek the next week, which was that great comeback. Buckner played great, and then Cone brought him back at the end. They kicked the field goal to win that thing. So heck of a career. Really excited to see where he goes. I'm obviously out here in New England. Love to see him go to the Pats at number 3. Love to see, my brother's a big Charger fan, and it's like, get him to San Diego and let Harbaugh just run off tackle with, Slater from, the other tackle and Joe Alt together. So it's going to be a fun draft. Looking forward to seeing where he goes. Looking forward to seeing where obviously Blake Fisher goes as well, and keeping these guys. But when you think the best, real quick, since Holtz, you got to be Aaron Taylor. Obviously, Aaron Taylor. Top of my head, I'm going to go Aaron Taylor, Joe Alt.
People are talking Zach Martin.
Oh yeah,
we're going tackles. Obviously,
I'm going Martin and McGlinchey. I'm just saying straight Notre Dame career. I would take McGlinchey over Ronnie Stanley. Would be my.
You're going just tackles. You're not including guards.
No, I'm just going straight offensive tackles. Straight offensive tackles. So I go obviously Aaron Taylor at 93, Zach Martin's career, Joe Alt's career, and I would go McGlinchey over Stanley when it goes to OTs.
Mike had a good comment here. He said, if people didn't get worked up about rankings, you wouldn't have a show. Dude, there's a lot of things that people didn't get worked about. I don't know if I'd have a job. So, Mike, very, very true statement here. Ian C. What's up, Tim?
Well, I was going to say, a guy says in the comment, Jeff Fain was my favorite center. Next time you have Goolsby on, ask him about Jeff Fain. All I know is Goolsby told me he was terrified of him. So, Jeff Fain was a stud offensive center back in the days.
Ian says, just Joe Alt play Fortnite. I don't know, man, but I could see Joe being pretty good on the sticks. So without further ado, let's bring him on. Let's bring on Joe Alt, everyone. Joe, it is good to have you on the show, my friend. How are you doing? Where are you, man? Where is Joe Alt right now?
I'm up in Minnesota, back home. That's where I'm at. Yeah.
Is that the old room? Dad kept it going for you?
No, this actually isn't my sister's house. So believe it or not, this is my sister's house. But no, I am in the same house, same room. So yeah.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
All right. So Joe, I've been, me and you have known each other for coming up on 4 years or so. Have you heard about this fan club?
Oh, I've seen it. Definitely have.
I mean, I've got the receipt. I mean, I started this hashtag. I don't know if you know about this, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Hashtag Joe Alt fan club. Joe Alt had a pancake on Kyron Williams' touchdown run. And then there was an offensive lineman who you may know. I think he played next to you last year. Pat Coogan quote tweeted it with hashtag Joe Alt fan club over the years. Yeah, Mike Singer just tweeting out Joe Alt fan club. I don't really have a question here, Joe, but I got you on the show. I had to bring up the Joe Alt fan club. I didn't know if you wanted to speak to, many of the people who are watching this who also are members of the Joe Alt fan club.
I would start by saying I'm really appreciative of you starting a fan club for me. Thank you all the followers who have been following my fan club. I hope I'm, holding up my end of the bargain and making sure the fan club is one that's fun to be a part of. And thanks for being a part of it.
It's all in good fun, but again, I was not about to have you on here and look at all of these
Goes back a long ways.
Hashtag Joe Alt fan club. My favorite would be tweeting some of these, and I know Joe Alt's not a big Twitter guy. You probably have tweeted 10 times in 2 years or something, but you would always like some of them.
Yeah,
that would always make me happy.
Oh yeah, every once in a while you'll see me like something.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Going to you, Tim.
Hey, yeah, Joe, I was telling Mike, I got to have a fun one to start, a little icebreaker question here. So I started thinking, you've played USC twice when they're in the top 10, Ohio State twice when they've been in the top 10, Clemson, you beat them when they were number 4, but you never played Michigan. Mm-hmm. So it's 3rd and 3. Notre Dame is up 20-17. It is a typical Notre Dame Michigan slugfest.
Yeah.
It's 3rd and 3 with 2 minutes to go. What are you running behind you? You going to do an inside zone double team, or are you going to run a counter right off of you? What are you picking?
I'm actually going to do neither. I'm going to go to our duo scheme.
Woo!
Yeah. Our duo scheme out of our 12 personnel is always my go-to. I think, utilizing our tight end room and the offensive line, getting behind us, getting as many double teams as we can, and just running it right at them. No surprise. They know what we're running. We know that they're going to be blitzing it, hitting hard, and may the best man win.
Now that's awesome. So,
Yeah.
okay, it's like, now can we get this thing back? Can we get Notre Dame and Michigan back together? So that's the one thing thinking about your career. Obviously, played great games and whatnot, but man, as Notre Dame fans and Michigan people, we don't get along. So
Yeah.
One of these days we're going to get back on the schedule. So
yeah, no, that'd be awesome. I obviously would have loved to have played Michigan, but I can't complain with the schedules I played. We played some great opponents and had some really fun games in there.
You played some. You want me to go, Mike? So my next one, Joe, is you've had the luxury of 3 O-line coaches, which is like, and 3 really good offensive line coaches, no doubt about it. And my big question is, as you get ready for the NFL, you're going to have your 4th O-line coach in 4 years. But what are you going to take from the 3? What are you going to take from Coach Quinn, Coach Heastan, Coach Rudolph? What's one little item that you think about all the time when you're preparing, watching film, or you just went in meetings at the combine, and something always sticks from those guys as you get to the NFL?
I would say for me, start with Coach Quinn my freshman year, always looking at the game plan very specifically, understanding the defense we're going to play, and kind of my first taste of offensive line plays, understanding opponents, understanding 4 down versus 3 down, how many backers are running, how they respond to 11 versus 12 versus 13 personnel. What are we going to see? So I think for me, the general grasp of the game with Coach Quinn, with Coach Heastan, I'm going to go to, the basics, the technique, from start with your stance to your alignment, to the guy's alignment on defense, to, your footwork, to where you're carrying your hands and stuff like that. I think was really where Coach Heastan developed my game. And with Coach Rudolph this past year, I think adding tools to the toolbox, changing up sets, changing up how you punch, 2 hands versus, independent hands, changing things up, kind of not always being so predictable, and kind of taking it to the defender more so than kind of giving the same set every time.
Tim, if I can jump in, Tim, you mentioned 4 O-line coaches in 4 years. I mean, you can even say 5 and 5 going back to high school. Is there challenges in that? You're like, oh man, like I got another O-line coach to learn from. I'm sure there's some excitement there. Harry's coming back. You can look at who he coached at Notre Dame, but there's got to be challenges in that too, especially like, okay, you were recruited by Jeff Quinn. Okay, Harry comes in. You got Harry. Oh, okay, now here's a new guy coming in. There's also, there got to be challenges there, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be a couple of challenges, just kind of getting to learn that coach's coaching style, or, his personality and how he approaches the game. Is he more of a film guy versus on field, and, what his approach to it. But for me, I think I've been blessed to have a lot of different coaching styles and been able to take, things from each coach to, put into my toolbox and add to my game to allow me to play to the best of my ability. So for me, I think it's kind of been the best for me, because I got to see a lot of different styles and they all have worked for me. So it's been really, really fun.
Tim?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Just to jump right into my question, which goes right out of that, is I hear you and Blake Fisher at the combine, and obviously your interviews that you did this past year. You guys always talk about the standard, and that's the standard at the in the O-line room. Going back to the 3 coaches in 3 years, even going back to your freshman year. I mean, you come in and it's like 4 dudes are gone to the NFL off that great 2020 O-line that went to the playoffs, all those guys getting drafted and playing in the NFL. And then before that, Harry Heastan kind of built the culture, so to speak, that's lasted through Jeff Quinn. And what did Joe Rudolph do? And more importantly, you, Blake, what did you guys take when you came in from the older guys like Josh Lugg and Patterson, are like, hey, this is how we do things. So now you and Blake are leaving. So now it's like, okay, this is how we do things. This is what Charles Jagusah's saying, Baker's saying, Coogan's saying, that type of thing. What is that O-line standard and that mentality that just keeps going year after year in South Bend?
Yeah, I mean, that standard is something that's harped every year when you step in there. Like my first year, God taught me right away. And I think the simplest way to put it is every day you're working against yourself, and you're never going to stay the same. If you think you're staying the same, you're getting worse. So you always got to be pushing yourself to, become better as either a person, a student or on the field, you got to be getting better some way or somehow. And I think that's the standard in the simplest way. And for us, it's pushing each other, with a little competition, between positions. It's competition between, being the best unit on the team. It's all of that. And, going from school into workouts or school to practice, making sure you're always being that accountable player, coming in ready to work and just trying to lead the team to, have as much success as possible. So I think that's the standard and what we kind of live by in the offensive line room.
Joe, I'm curious about what the past couple months have been like for you since the season ended. You rocked the combine. What's the process been like for you? I mean,
Yeah.
are you traveling a ton? Is it just a ton of meetings, lots of working out? Like, what are you up to these days?
Yeah, I mean, I tell everyone whenever they ask me that I'm currently living in my parents' basement, with no diploma and no job. So that's what I'm up to at the moment. But, for me, it's been a lot of training, the last 2 months, getting ready for the combine, getting all the agility and the 40 and the bench and getting everything that where I wanted to. And, now since that's ended, it's been a lot more meetings, Zooms, starting some of my 30 visits and things like that. And just kind of, for me, that's also very important to be able to do that stuff, but making sure I'm still staying on top of my workouts and, getting in the required work to continue to, my passion is always be the hardest worker on the field and be the most ready going into whatever it is. So that's kind of what I've been trying to balance since the combine.
Joe, I wanted you to put kind of like your analyst hat on, and I'm going to show you a picture of a recruit and tell me, do you think that he's got a future as an offensive lineman?
That looks like a quarterback to me. I know it's not. That's got to be what is that? Got to be my junior or senior year.
No, it's definitely not your senior year. I want to say it's junior year.
It's got to be junior year. That's a young, probably looks the same in the face, but that's a skinny Joe. I mean, that's probably 6'6", 6'7", 220, maybe 225. That's a kid with a dream, playing tight end, enjoying football, and hoping his body's going to develop to someday play offensive tackle like his dad. I mean, that's as simple as that one is. But he's trying his best, that's for sure.
So that's like 2020.
Yep.
And then what? Joe, I remember one of my last interviews with you on the phone before you got to Notre Dame. I joked with you. I was like, every time I mention your name, you gain 5 pounds. And you really did go from 220 soaking wet to by the time you got to Notre Dame, you're 250. And, we're talking in the span of 4 months there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Joe, how did you put on this weight and it was good weight.
Yeah.
Joe, how does that turn into that?
That's a lot of eating. That's a lot of eating right, hopefully. A lot of protein. And for me, it was especially in that transition, from senior year to showing up at Notre Dame. I knew tackle was going to be it. So making sure I'm eating enough, getting my 3 to 4 meals in a day, protein shakes before bed, wake up in the middle of the night, eating more. It was just, I knew that's where my body was going. I wasn't the fastest tight end, but I wanted to be a fast offensive tackle. So put on the weight right and not losing my athleticism. And some I had to work really hard at. People say oh, I'm so jealous you get to eat. It wasn't really always a fun thing. It was kind of force feeding at times, but, got to where I feel comfortable with my body weight and I feel good. So it's been well worth, the force feeding for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So the picture I showed you, that was your junior year, again, probably 220. And then I feel like your senior year, more in that 240 to 250-ish. And then, get to Notre Dame, probably 270. Tim, what's up?
Yeah, no. Let me ask a follow-up question, Joe. I don't know if I've ever heard you really talk about this, or has it ever been asked, is when you showed up to Notre Dame, as Mike's talking right here, and you're whatever you were weight-wise and things of that nature, obviously, Blake was there all spring. He goes and starts Florida State. When did it click in for you? Holy moly, obviously Blake gets hurt, but you still have Carmody, you still have Baker. What was that? I mean, it's fast paced with you. How quick did it go? I've never really heard you talk about from Florida State to getting ready. Obviously, you're blocking against Purdue. Second half, you go into halftime against Cincinnati, and they're like, all right, Joe, go have fun. And then you're going out there against Enter Sandman and Va Tech.
Yeah.
What was that fast process? I mean, it was quick.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
I think for me, the first thing was I kind of got like a little nudge towards the end of summer conditioning. Coach Quinn called me and said, you really worked your tail off this summer. You worked really hard in the weight room on the field. Coach Bayless noticed it, and he said, like, we think you deserve a shot to be on the field in some facets. So they said, we want to, get you ready, let you learn the playbook at, a heavy tight end position. So I started learning some of those, the duo, the inside zone scheme, some of that stuff, just learning it. And, learning at tight end and tackle, it really wasn't much different. It's one spot down. The combinations are, one word's different, but it's the same thing. So kind of started learning the playbook. And, as guys, got hurt or got moved around, it was like, all right, I just kind of told myself in conversations with my dad, it's like, if I get this opportunity, I'm going to get it and never look back. And as soon as I got that opportunity, I was like, all right, got to put the best foot forward. I'm not a senior in high school anymore. I'm not a freshman. I'm part of this, these 5 guys in the offensive line trying to win a football game. And that's kind of how I approached it. And, for me, I knew I was young and I knew I didn't necessarily have that technique that the other guys had. So I tried to, make that up in the film room, making sure I was the most prepared guy with both the playbook and, with what I was going to see that week. So I could try to have the most success, even though I was, a younger guy with not as much experience.
You mentioned your dad there. Shout out to John Alt, the co-president of the Joe Alt fan club.
Yep.
Yeah, what a legend right there. What a guy to learn from too.
No.
Someone who did the tight end to tackle route, but he did it in college. You started it in high school, obviously. I know your senior year. I wonder.
Like one game of tackle.
Got one game of tackle, but you were basically like a 6 offensive lineman as a tight end. Yeah, yep. So even more of a tackle, right? Junior year, you definitely tight end. Senior year is like, okay, you're a tackle disguised.
Get a couple passes here and there, have a little bit of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So 3 years at Notre Dame, that's not 4 for 40, right? Mm-hmm. Do you have plans to go back and get your degree? When do you plan on doing that? What does that look like logistically with you playing in the league?
Yeah, so I got about a semester and a half left. I plan to return next spring and hopefully knock out as many of the in-person classes that I can. And if I can somehow squeeze where I could figure out to do some summer ones over the summer and knock it out. If not, return the following spring. But definitely going to get that major. I've gotten too far and worked too hard for it. So that's definitely something that's on the, the forefront of my mind and want to get back and finish that up.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Tim, you got anything else for him?
I'll just bounce off of what you just said right there, Joe, was when did you know? When did you know you're like, I'm going to go pro? Obviously, your dad, people realize your dad was a first-round pick. He was the second offensive tackle pick that year as well. And, he's in the Kansas City Chief Hall of Fame, which he's there with one of my favorite Notre Dame players growing up, Tim Grunhard, who is absolute. He was Quentin Nelson before Quentin Nelson. Grun was a dude back at Notre Dame, but which I'm sure you know that as well. But when did you know? When did you just tell yourself and talk with your dad? Like, it's hard to pass up, obviously, where you're projected and what you've done at Notre Dame, but just talk about that little conversation as well.
Yeah, for me, it was one of my biggest focuses was, there's a lot of outside noise going on in this last season, and for me, it's like I can't listen to that because if I dip my finger into it, it's gonna consume me. So it was me. I really took a lot of pride in, all right, this is today and how am I going to get better today, and really tune out all the outside noise, and it's going to take care of itself when we get there. So I didn't think about that, focus on that until, the season was ended. For me, it was, all right, well, who we got this week? How am I going to get better? What I got to work on to prepare myself? And, I ended up playing with Stanford. I think probably one of my best games I played at Notre Dame. And, I was really happy with my performance. And, I think me and my dad had a conversation and it felt like it was the right time. It was kind of a calling from God for me. And it was a time to, take the next step and move on and, fulfill my dreams that I've had since I was a kid, walking into the basement and seeing my dad's jersey hung up on the wall for the Chiefs and the pictures and stuff. So it was just kind of that final game and the season and how I felt was just kind of the right time for me to move on.
Okay, Joe, as we get you out of here, one more thing for you.
Yeah.
Looking at the Notre Dame offensive tackles that are still there, there's like 3 main guys, I would say. Let's start with the one who we think might be replacing you as the left tackle, the guy who played in the Sun Bowl, Charles Jagasaw. What did you see from him last season? Came into Notre Dame with the high expectations, and in that Sun Bowl, he definitely looked really good. So curious for your thoughts on Jagasaw first.
Yeah, I think the 2 main things with him is his athleticism at his size and his mental approach to the game. I think getting to know him and getting to see how he worked and thought, it was very similar to me, and he had a very mental approach to the game, and kind of also had, we know the same body types, but also that athletic ability and how he plays and has the ability to mirror guys in pass pro. And then, he's a strong dude in the run game. He's going to be very effective there. So I was very happy with everything I saw, and tried to instill as much wisdom as I could while I was there, and being able to watch him with the Sun Bowl go out there and perform and have a heck of a game. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Okay. Tosh Baker, might be the right tackle for this team, replacing Blake.
Yeah, me and Tosh are very close. We've been close since we got there. I think, we have pretty much the same exact body type. It's been really fun to play with Tosh and get to know Tosh more on a personal level. I think he has all the ability with his length and size, and also his speed, his athleticism as well. I think he's going to be, a great run blocker, and even better in the pass game with his size and length. Emil
Wagner?
Yeah, I think Emil is probably the fastest and most athletic guy on the offensive line. It's funny, we'd have plays especially this year, like you'd be the backside cutoff on a zone scheme. You'd see him flying across the field to cut off a safety. I think he brings a effort level to the game that's really impressive, and I think he just continues to get bigger and bigger and stronger and stronger. He's going to be a heck of a player.
Cool. Well, if you ever make it to Canton, you just got to make sure you throw out the Joe Alt fan club and Mike Singer. That's all I'm asking, Joe.
All right.
You don't have to mention me at anything else. But if you make it there, the one guy who just really believed in you from the beginning,
I appreciate
people asking me all the time, Joe, for this Notre Dame recruiting class, who's your Joe Alt, Mike? Who's your Joe Alt? Who's that guy?
That is
I get
true.
it all the time.
No, that's awesome. And I appreciate all the support over the years. It really is. I really do appreciate it. And it's been a lot of fun. And, I'm going to miss Notre Dame for sure. Those 3 years were some of the best of my life. And I couldn't be more grateful for all the people and supported me or around me there at Notre Dame. And the fans are some of the best. And the Joe Alt fan club is one fun one to be a part of for sure.
Hey, Joe, just a quick NFL. Are you going to the draft, or are you having a party and whatnot with family?
We're still discussing it. I know I got a big family, so we're trying to kind of figure out the logistics of the whole thing and how we're going to do that, just because I got 4 other siblings who all got families, so we're trying to figure out everything and how it's going to work out.
Well, good luck with that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Joe. Have a good one, man. Take care.
You too. Thank you, guys.
You got it, Joe. Good luck, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, that was pretty cool. We got Jason in the YouTube chat saying one more year. Everyone's like, hey, can we get him back a little bit more? That was awesome. That was really cool.
I'm the opposite when I hear one more year. I'm like, man, go have fun. It's like, I want to see you on Sundays. Go have fun. Go live that dream. Go do the next thing. It's like, especially when you're a 3-year starter, it's like, man, go do it. I'm super excited. Just super excited to see him going on. So get out of South Bend, go represent Notre Dame at that next level, and just keep that crank going, man. Just keep it going, pumping out great linemen.
Yeah, that was a great interview. I mean, I had to plug the Joe Alt fan club a couple times, and I wanted to say it as we were signing off there, but like, thank you, Joe, for making me look smart. And it's a blessing and a curse, because then I always got to come up with the next one. Who my next pick is. But dude, when he committed, we showed that picture.
Yes.
Of little old Joe Alt. Notre Dame, you guys know what you guys were saying at the time. Like, we're taking this kid. We're Notre Dame offensive line. We're taking this kid who's, I can fit my hand around his arms, and that's what he turned out to be. So yeah.
The last 30 seconds there. I mean, that's recruiting sometimes, right? Where he's Marcus Freeman's doing this right now with so many of these NFL players taking their kids and things of that nature. I mean, it's like Elijah Burgess, hell of a wide receiver on film, and people are like, well, I don't know. But then you watch him, you're like, well, he's probably going to play. Same thing with Alt. His dad was a stud, and you just see the way Joe is. You just sometimes, man, you get those NFL kids that they just know what to do, know how to prepare, the pedigree, all those things come into there. And Joe, I loved his answer. That's one thing as we were doing the interview. It's like, man, I've never really heard him talk about how quick it hit from camp till his time playing. Obviously, injuries and whatnot, but the fact that he was ready and went out and earned freshman All-American honors shows you just how good he played that year.
I don't know if you meant to do this, Tim, but you kind of low-key tried to break some news on if Joe Alt would be attending in that or not. I kind of liked it. You're getting your reporter hat on.
Oh, well, I mean, I know it's still out there and whatnot, but yeah, you didn't know. No, because I saw him on another podcast. I've been some Joe stuff during the combine, and someone asked him about a suit, and he says he does have a suit. So I'm like,
okay.
Wow, wonder if he's going to the show, to the draft thing. So,
Gotcha.
but
Real quick, Tim, we got a couple more comments to get to before we
sure.
sign off tonight's show. We're going to hear from Augie's Locker Room. Folks, if you are a Fighting Irish fan and you want to learn about some unique Notre Dame memorabilia, there's really one place to learn about it and potentially buy some really neat stuff. And that's Augie's Locker Room, which has moved to a brand new location. Check out Augie's new store at 1733 North Ironwood Drive in South Bend, just down the street from Notre Dame. So if you're local, you're coming in town, whatever the situation may be, if you're in South Bend, you got to go over to Augie's Locker Room. Check out their wide selection of Notre Dame Stadium pieces, jerseys, helmets, autographs, and one-of-a-kind Rockney items. You can find exclusive Joe Montana signed items and famous sculptor Jerry McKenna's replicas of the bronze statues around the stadium. Augie gets new stuff in all the time. If he doesn't have something in store, he can also go find it for you. Augie's the guy you're going to want to talk to for all Notre Dame memorabilia stuff. So 1733 North Ironwood Drive in South Bend. It's a new location for Augie. See the vintage helmet display dating back to 1890. He's got some amazing stuff you're going to want to check out. Visit augieslockerroom.com, 574-277-6363. Sorry, guys. Maybe I should have said this before, but we were not going to take live chat questions. If we would have opened it up to super chats.
Oh, God, we're here till midnight.
Yeah, we would have. Yeah, we had 20 minutes with Joe. I told him I would keep I'm sure he's got to be up early and get to work tomorrow morning. So I was like, we'll keep you for a quick 20 minutes. Yeah, if we would have done super chats, we would have been here for a while. And I didn't really want to, do.
Which, by the way, let me plug that. I told you about this, Mike. Go on YouTube, just type in Joe Alt working out, so to speak. A great 5-minute video of where he's training. You'll learn a lot of what he's been doing since he's left Notre Dame. So just a little plug out there for you guys. Just want to do some Joe Alt. Little, learning and investing and researching and stuff like that on him. So a lot of great stuff.
But Wicked Bronco Productions question was, what are your thoughts on people saying Estime will be undrafted because of his 40 time? He did the same thing to Kyron. They did the same thing to Kyron, running a 4.65. He killed the season, which you're doing. Yeah.
I'll take 30 seconds on this. Kyron Williams is a stud. He was a stud at Notre Dame. He's perfect for the NFL because he's tough. He's quick. He knows how to run. The NFL is a passing league. They run like 3 running plays, duo, inside zone, and stretch. So he knows how to run duo like crazy. So hey, I'll tell you what, man, the Estime thing is film. Don't lie. He's violent as could be. But there's a stat somewhere talking about how long it's been since a guy ran a 4.7 and got drafted.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. And
yeah.
I remember watching him, because I watched all the Notre Dame guys, and I was like, whoa, that looks slow. That did not look like a good looking 40 time. You watch Joe Alt run a 5.0, that's a good looking 40 time. When you're watching some of those running backs or those DBs, holy moly, those guys can fly. You're watching some of that stuff like with Cam Hart's group and things of that nature, it's different. But Kyron's perfect for the NFL. Plus, the dude what was Kyron Williams' calling card? People always forget this real quick. The dude was a clinician at pass blocking. He knocked the hell out of people in pass blocking. So he was always going to get drafted because he could pass block, and he had 70 some odd catches in 2 years. So
yeah,
I think Kyron's night and day above Estime. That's just my humble opinion.
Yeah, Jay Carr says he'll run faster than 4.7 at the pro day. That's
standard.
He's still you'd hope he runs like a low 4.6, like 4.61, 4.62, something like that, to kind of turn heads. But the data on that is interesting. That no one's been drafted at the running back position at 4.7, and was it ever or a long time or
I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Still, that's not good. But I would still bet on him getting drafted. He was just he's
a tank. He could be a goal line guy. He's a short yardage guy. But he's a guy you could give him 15, 18 carries in a game. And I mean, the NFL doesn't want to run the ball. I mean, they say they do, but they don't give a damn. The whole thing's set up to throw the ball. It's all about who has the best quarterback and the wide receiver in the NFL. And even with the Rams, even though Kyron Williams had a hell of a year, still all about the quarterback and Cooper Kupp. So,
Yeah.
Half the NFL don't even know Kyron's on the team probably. Because I mean, just look at the running back position. No one gives a damn.
I mean, he scored a lot of touchdowns best year.
Oh,
But Wicked
no.
Bronco Productions.
He was on my fantasy football. So are you kidding me? I blew up with him this year. Sucked when he was out for 4 weeks.
Really appreciate the generous super chats, plural tonight. Yeah, John says he's also an elite pass blocker, pass catcher.
Oh,
So yeah, it's such a good point. It's like, you think about running backs, like, okay, just running ability, but if you can be an extra like offensive lineman back there, I mean, just the value is like he can break runs. He can catch out of the backfield, and you got like a fullback back there that is tremendous.
When he got drafted, that's the first thing the GM Snead at the Rams and McVay, the head coach, said was like, the dude's amazing pass blocker.
Yeah.
He's going to help us there. And boom, the rest is history now for him.
Yeah. Yeah, John says Audrick's a lighter Ron Dane. There's a name I haven't heard in a while. Yeah. Throwback running back, but yeah. Okay. Well, Tim, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tim and I talked a couple weeks ago about getting Joe on the show. We were hoping to do it last week, and we got it done this week. Fired up.
I'm going to remind you my next one I want. So it's a recruit.
Other than Tyler?
I will. Yeah, Tyler just talked some football and whatnot. And I know
who's your next one?
I'm not going to say it on air. I'm going to.
Well, you said Joe on air.
Did I? But I'm not going to do this one. This one's different. Because you got to do some work on this one, Mike. This is a Mike Singer production.
Can you text it to me right now?
Yes.
All right, text it to me right now.
Oh, okay. But yeah, Goolsby and I want to get back on when they finally start doing some practices here.
Okay. We'll do a joint show.
See if you can make this happen.
Jay Meager said, "Can we get coaches on, or is that not allowed?" I've tried.
That's a Singer production.
Okay, hold on. I need to think about these three.
Time zone's not that bad.
We could do that. I think I could get that done.
That's what I'm. That's why I brought that up a few weeks ago, and obviously we went for the Big Joe, and we got him. So let's try that one, okay?
Ian hacked my phone. No, it's not Angeli. That'd be good, dude. That would be amazing. Okay. Well, anyways, if you guys have not hit the thumbs up on this video yet, please do that. Subscribe, of course, to our channel if you are new, or if somehow you aren't subscribed, please do that. BlueandGold.com is your home for all things Notre Dame football and recruiting coverage. Our offer, if you are a new subscriber, is $1 for 2 months using the promo code UND1. So if you just want to try us out, see what the recruiting coverage is like with some busy, you got spring ball, huge recruiting weekends, players visiting for practice, lots of good coverage there, and as well as the actual spring ball coverage and analysis and observations and news and notes, all that good stuff. Great opportunity for you guys. Promo code UND1, $1 for 2 months. We're going to sign off right there. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. And as always, we will catch you next time.